Hello. Today is day 123 of our 365-day Bible read. Today we're going to be reading from the Old Testament, 1 Kings. I keep wanting to say 2 Samuel because we just finished 2 Samuel, so I'm still stuck on saying that. But we're going to be reading 1 Kings chapters 3, 4, and 5 today, and then we'll do the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to go on over to the New Testament and we'll read Luke chapter 23 by reading verses 1 through 25, and then we'll do the Bible study for Luke chapter 23 tomorrow, and we'll finish Luke chapter 23 tomorrow. So remember, we're splitting the New Testament up. Some of the books of the Bible in the New Testament, we're splitting them up into 2 days. The chapters, each chapter of the books of the New Testament, we're splitting them up into 2 days of reading them. That way, because there's less books of the Bible in the New Testament, and we want to be able to read both some of the Old and New Testament daily for this year Bible reading challenge that we're doing. So, yeah, and yesterday we did not read any of the New Testament because I read ahead, so I was just trying to fall back onto the schedule that I'm following from esv.org. So that's why we didn't read yesterday of the New Testament. So, okay, we're going to get started. 1 Kings Old Testament, 1 Kings chapter 3. Solomon's prayer for wisdom. Solomon made a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had finished building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people were sacrificing at the high places. However, because no house had yet been built for the name of the Lord, Solomon loved the Lord, walking in statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and made offerings at the high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar at Gibeon. The Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I shall give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne this day. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David, my father. Although I am but a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this, your great people?" It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. And God said to him, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches, or the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word." Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. And if you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Then he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Solomon's wisdom. Then two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. The one woman said, "Oh, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I gave birth to a child while she was in the house. Then, on the third day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth, and we were alone. There was no one else with us in the house, only we two were in the house. And this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while your servant slept, and laid him at her breast, and laid her dead son at my breast. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning, behold, he was not the child that I had born." But the other woman said, "No, the living child is mine, and the dead child is yours." The first said, "No, the dead child is yours, and the living child is mine." Thus they spoke before the king. Then the king said, "The one says, 'This is my son that is alive, and your son is dead.' And the other says, 'No, but your son is dead, and my son is the living one.'" And the king said, "Bring me a sword." So a sword was brought before the king. And the king said, "Divide the living child in two, and give half to one and half to the other." Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, "Because her heart yearned for her son, oh, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means put him to death." But the other said, "He shall be neither mine nor hers. Divide him." Then the king answered and said, "Give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is his mother." And all Israel heard of the judgment that the king had rendered, and they stood in awe of the king, because they perceived that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. All right, so that was 1 Kings chapter 3. We're now going to do the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 3. One Kings chapter 3 Bible study. Who did Solomon marry? Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter of Egypt. Why did the people sacrifice to God in the high places? There was no house built for God at this time, so the people sacrificed on their own. What did Solomon ask from God? Solomon asked for wisdom from God and judging as king, to know evil from good. What did God give Solomon? God gave Solomon a wise and understanding heart, and also the things he did not ask for, riches and honor. What is the first recorded case of Solomon's wisdom? Solomon judged two women who disputed over the ownership of a newborn baby. The one who did not want the child divided in half was the real mother. All right, so that was the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 3. We're now going to go back to the Old Testament and read 1 Kings chapter 4, and then we'll do the Bible study for that as well. 1 King chapter 4. Let me see. Okay, 1 Kings chapter 4. I always like to look ahead and see how long the chapter is. Not that it'll make a difference, but I just always do that. Okay, 1 Kings chapter 4. Solomon's officials. King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were his high officials. Azariah, the son of Zadok, was the priest. Elihoreph and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were secretaries. Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was in command of the army. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers. Zabud, the son of Nathan, was priest and king's friend. Ahishar was in charge of the palace, and Adoniram, the son of Abda, was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, who provided food for the king and his household. Each man had to make provision for 1 month in the year. These were their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Deker and Makaz, Shalbim, Beth Shemesh, and Elon Beth Hanan, Ben-Hesht, and Aruboth. To him belonged Sokal, and all the land of Hepher. Ben-Abinadab, and all Nepath Dor. He had Taphtha, the daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Bana, the son of Ahilud, in Tanakh. Megiddo, and all Beth Sheen, that is beside Zerithan, below Jezreel, and from Beth Sheen to Abel Maholah, as far as the other side of Jokmeam. Ben-Geber and Ramoth Gilead, he had the villages of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead, and he had the region of Argob, which is in Bashan, 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars. Ahinadab, the son of Iddo, in Mahanaim. Ahimaaz and Naphtali, he had taken Basemath, the daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Bana, the son of Hushai, and Asher, and Beloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Paruah, and Issachar. Shimei, the son of Elah, and Benjamin. Geber, the son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. And there was one governor who was over the land. Solomon's wealth and wisdom. Judah and Israel were as many as the sand by the sea. They ate and drank and were happy. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provision for 1 day was 30 cors of fine flour and 60 cors of meal, 10 fat oxen and 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all the region west of the Euphrates, from Tifsha to Gaza, over all the kings west of the Euphrates. And he had peace on all sides around him. And Judah and Israel lived in safety, from Dan even to Beersheba, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, all the days of Solomon. Solomon also had 40,000 stalls of horses, for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers supplied provisions for King Solomon and for all who came to King Solomon's table, each one in his month. They let nothing be lacking. Barley also and straw for the horses, and swift steeds they brought to the place where it was required, each according to his duty. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding beyond measure, and breadth of mind like the sand on the seashore, so that Solomon's wisdom surpassed the wisdom of all the people of the east and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all other men, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, Calcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all the surrounding nations. He also spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar that is in Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He spoke also of beasts, and of birds, and of reptiles, and of fish. And people of all nations came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and from all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. All right, so that was 1 Kings chapter 4. We're now going to do the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 4. 1 Kings chapter 4 Bible study. How many governors did Solomon have under him? Solomon had 12 governors. What was their duty to his household? Each governor provided food for the king and his household a month at a time. How many proverbs did Solomon speak? Solomon spoke 3,000 proverbs. How many songs did he have? His songs were 1,005 songs. What were some of the things of Solomon's wisdom? Solomon was wise in trees, animals, birds, creeping things, and fish. All right, so that was the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 4, and we're now going to read 1 Kings chapter 5, and then do the Bible study for that. 1 second, let me see. Okay, 1 second. I'm just gonna cut my air off really quick. Oh. Okay. So yeah, I had to cut the air off. I washed my hair tonight, and my hair is wet. And well, it's not wet, it's just like damp, but with the air on too, it makes my nose like run. Wet hair, air on, and yeah, my nose run. And of course, I just got over my cold, and which it's gone. My COVID, I tested negative when I went back, but yeah, my nose is still like stuffy sometimes. It's like regular, but it's like has a little stuff to it, but I don't think it's so much from when I was sick. It's more so like some of the pregnancy symptoms because I am pregnant. So like once I hit like second trimester always of like all my pregnancies, I always start like having like a stuffy nose. It's like normal in pregnancy. So moms know. But yeah, so that's that. But with wet hair and the air on and all of that, yeah, it makes my nose run. So yeah, I had to cut the air off and blow my nose. Okay, so so let's finish this. 1 Kings chapter 5. We're still in the Old Testament. The last chapter. This chapter isn't that long. Well, none of them are really long, but okay, here we go. 1 Kings chapter 5. Preparations for building the temple. Now, Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon when he heard that they had anointed him king in the place of his father. For Hiram always loved David, and Solomon sent word to Hiram. You know that David, my father, could not build a house for the name of the Lord his God because of the warfare with which his enemies surrounded him, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side. There is neither adversary nor misfortune. And so I intend to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord said to David my father. Your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, shall build the house for my name. Now, therefore, command that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me, and my servants will join your servants, and I will pay you for your servants such wages as you set, for you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians. As soon as Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly and said, Blessed be the Lord this day, who has given to David a wise son to be over this great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have heard the message that you have sent to me. I am ready to do all you desire in the matter of cedar and cypress timber. My servant shall bring it down to the sea from Lebanon, and I will make it into rafts to go by sea to the place you direct. And I will have them broken up there, and you shall receive it. And you shall meet my wishes by providing food for my household. So Hiram supplies Solomon with all the timber of cedar and cypress that he desired, while Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household, and 20,000 cores of beaten oil. Solomon gave this to Hiram year by year, and the Lord gave Solomon wisdom, as he promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. King Solomon drafted forced labor out of all Israel, and the draft numbered 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month in shifts. They would be a month in Lebanon. They would be a month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the draft. Solomon also had 70,000 burden bearers and 80,000 stone cutters in the hill country, besides Solomon's 3,300 chief officers who were over the work, who had charge of the people who carried on the work. At the king's command, they quarried out great costly stones in order to lay the foundation of the house with dressed stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the men of Gebal did the cutting and prepared the timber and the stone to build the house. All right. So that was 1 Kings chapter 5. We are now going to do the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 5. All right. 1 Kings chapter 5 Bible study. From whom did Solomon get the materials to build the Lord's temple? The temple building materials came from Hiram, king of Tyre. How did Solomon repay him? Solomon provided Hiram with wheat and oil year by year. How many men did Solomon have to help construct the temple? Solomon had 30,000 men in Lebanon, 70,000 men to carry burdens, 8,000 men who quarried rock, and 3,300 men to supervise the work. There were 183,300 men to build the temple. All right, so that was the Bible study for 1 Kings chapter 5. I don't know if I said this, but if I wind up saying 1 Solomon, if I did say that, I meant to say 1 Kings. I keep saying Solomon this whole these chapters, and I may have said 1 Solomon. I did that before back in some book that we were reading when we read about Saul a lot, and I wound up making a mistake and saying that was 1 Saul, and that was a mistake. But I kept saying the name so much. So if I said 1 Solomon, I'm not sure. I got like baby brain, but if I said that, I meant to say 1 Kings. So yeah, that was 1 Kings chapter 5 Bible study. And so yes, we're now going on over to the New Testament now, and we're going to read Luke chapter 23 by reading verse 1 through 25. But hold on. Ooh, my baby is waking. Okay. I just had to give her her passy. All right. So, yes. So we're to the New Testament now, and we're reading Luke chapter 23 by reading verse 1 through 25. And then we're going to finish Luke chapter 23 tomorrow and do the Bible study for it tomorrow. Okay, Luke chapter 23. Jesus before Pilate. Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ, a king." And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no guilt in this man." But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judah, from Galilee even to this place." Jesus before Herod. When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad. Excuse me. For he had long desired to see him, because he had heard about him, and he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but he made no answer. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him. And Herod with his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. Then, arraying him in splendid clothing, he sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day. For before this, they had been at enmity with each other. Pilate then called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was misleading the people." Let me read that part. "You brought me this man as one who was misleading the people. And after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him." Pilate delivers Jesus to be crucified. But they all cried out together, "Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas," a man who had been thrown into a prison for an insurrection started in the city and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, "Crucify, crucify him." A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no guilt deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him." But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. All right, so that was Luke chapter 23, verse 1 through 25. We're now done for today. We will finish Luke chapter 23 Luke chapter 23 tomorrow, and we'll do the Bible study for it tomorrow. A quick recap of what we did today. From the Old Testament, we read 1 Kings chapters 3, 4, and 5, and then we did the Bible study for 1 Kings chapters 3, 4, and 5, and then we went on over to the New Testament and we read Luke chapter 23 by reading verse 1 through 25, and we'll finish Luke chapter 23 tomorrow. So our day is complete. I love you guys. God loves you. I love you. You're a Jesus Christ champion, and we are doing this thing. We're getting through reading these books of the Bible. It's flying by. I cannot believe it's been 123 straight days. We have not skipped one day, not one. So for 123 days straight, we've been opening our Bible and reading it. This is so beautiful. I'm going on vacation soon, and I'm going to wake. I'm thinking early before everyone wakes and read as well, or maybe at night, like I've been doing it once the babies go to sleep. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to still read, and once I give birth, when I'm in the hospital, I'm going to, when I'm in the hospital after giving birth, I'm going to be opening my Bible those days that I'm there, and I'm going to read as well. I'll probably be at the hospital for 3 days. With my first two, I was there 3 days. I gave like a regular vaginal birth or whatever, but it was just our blood types, some stuff like with my blood type and my baby's blood type, and like not mixing. I don't know if the third baby will have the same blood type as them. I don't know how that stuff works. Like if all your kids have the same blood type, I think it's possible for a child to be born, from a mother and have a different blood type than like the siblings. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, duh. So the next baby may not have that blood type that my first two have. So, but because of that, I have to stay in the hospital for 3 full days after I give birth. So I'll probably be in the hospital for 3 full days after giving birth. So those 3 full days, me and my husband will be in the hospital, and I'll be reading the Bible as well when my baby's sleeping. So we're skipping no days, period, for nothing. I didn't even let COVID sit me down. So we're doing this, and it feels so good. So I've never done this before in my life, and it's like a big deal. And then, like, once I'm done reading the Bible, I won't be like doing this challenge, this daily challenge anymore. Like, once we finish and get through it, but I'm still going to be reading my Bible just because I finished reading the Bible. That's not like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'll never read the Bible again through or something like that. Like, no, I'm going to continue to read my Bible. I read it, read it over, start over, but I just won't be doing it on live or whatever. So, yeah. Anyways, so, all right. I love you guys. God loves you. You matter. You're valuable. You're worthy. You are enough. We are we are Jesus Christ champions, and yes, we're amazing. So yeah, we're important. We are enough, and God loves you guys so much. He loves us so much, no matter like what, no matter what, and He is with us always, and yes, He's with us always. And I was about to say something, but I think I'm going to make um, like a short of it, like a video of it. It's probably going to be funny, but I actually do this, and my husband like laughs at me, but I'll be like around the house like doing this, and it's so funny. But I'm gonna make a video of it. So yeah, so I'm not even gonna say it. I'll just make a video of it. But I always say that, and then I don't do it. Like I have like these 2 stories I wanted to tell. Like do a video of like story time with these 2 stories I have to tell. But I said I wanted, before telling it, I wanted to ask the person first if they felt comfortable with me sharing it. But then I had wound up thinking like, no, maybe I won't share it. But it's just basically speaking about, just God's power, man. But yeah, but I was just thinking like, no, I won't share it. But I brought that up, and then now I'm saying this, and I'll probably not do it, but I'm gonna do it. So it's gonna be funny, but it's what I actually do. So, anyways, all right. I love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're so awesome, man. Okay.